want to address something here about the fact that people think that older people are more at risk of dying from COVID. Let me put it very plain and simple. Older people are more at risk of dying, period. All right? Now, let's look a little bit at what's happening. Older people that are home, well taken care of, strong in their health, are not more at risk than anyone else. Who is at risk is people that are frail, that have a respiratory problem, cardiac problem, all kinds of different problems that older people develop. Among these people, the most frail people that I've ever seen are the people that are in nursing homes. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've been going to a lot of nursing homes, and when I see with sadness the situation that they're in, lying down in bed, they can call all day, nobody shows up. They are just being given the minimum amount of care by the nurse. They don't have somebody next to them. They don't have somebody taking care of them or making sure that they have what they need. They are just being made to survive. And people who are in nursing home know that every once in a while somebody died and the room and the bed is empty. Now we're cleaning up and now another patient will come in. Basically, that's what happens in nursing home. People are not able to take care of themselves. That's why they're there. They cannot get a drink if they need to. They cannot get up if they need to most of the time. And it's a very sad situation. So in that situation of having people in nursing home, there's two states, state of New York and state of California. Their governors, I don't need to mention them, you know who they are, ordered that the patients that had developed the disease of the virus have to go back to the nursing home. Have to go back to the nursing home. Now, if you know what the nurses do into the nursing home, they go around and around and around, and they go from one patient to another, barely making it, but they certainly are not, they go from one person to another. I mean, that's what they do. Now, these people that out-treated the patient, and they are mixing COVID patients with non-COVID patients, what do you think is going to happen? We're talking about an epidemic because it's spreadable. Yes, it is spreadable. But you're talking about people who cannot even blow their nose, let alone wash their hands, let alone get up to go to the bathroom. How are they supposed to be clean? How are they supposed to be free of germs? This is impossible. And you mixing them together? What kind of idea is that? That's why I call murderers. There's been hospital, okay, so the reason why I'm saying that is because people say older people have more chances to die from the virus. I say older people have more chances to die, period, virus or no virus. Is that clear? And people that are weak and frail and sick have more chances to die, yes, especially if you get them mixed up with people that are infected, yes. Whose idea was it to mix them up again? Now, I know that the military has ways of doing things that are extremely efficient sometimes. For example, they can set up a military hospital, a field hospital, in a few days. They were not told to do that until months into the epidemic. Why? Instead, there were boats that were deployed, one to New York or one to California. Why would somebody want to have a boat deployed in a situation of epidemic? It is the craziest thing to think. When I heard this, I could not believe my ears. Because anybody who's been aboard a boat, a military boat, not talking about a yacht, but even a yacht, any kind of boat, even a cruise ship, and you know everything is smaller, bathrooms are smaller, beds are smaller, everything is smaller. On a military boat, there is no way to be far away from anyone, because basically you're on top of each other, in the corridor, in the bunk beds, in the bath, in everything, in your clothes. You have no storage, you have nothing. You cannot be far away from anyone. And if one person get infected on a boat, everybody's going to get it. Whose idea was it to bring boats? I couldn't believe in ships. I couldn't believe it. Oh, this is going to be for people that do not have the virus. Okay, all right. Guess what? They were never used. They went back home. Field hospital set up. They could have been set up right away in any place, any parking lot, any big space. You could have set up field hospital to host these people, to avoid hospital from being cramped. Field hospital were also never used. Why? Okay, so the ICU were full. Let me tell you something in case you've never been in an ICU before. ICU are usually always full. Did you know that? And doctors working in ICU are usually very stressed. It's a high intensity level of care. Nurses that are in ICU do not stay there more than I don't know how many months, 3 months, 6 months, I don't know exactly, because people are dying all the time over there. And so it's very draining on people to see people dying, so they rotate the nurses. ICUs are usually always full. Why do we make a point of saying ICUs are full? Media's putting ideas in your brain, not telling you ICU are usually full. When this thing started, and I really felt bad because I was told that emergency rooms are so overwhelmed and they cannot deal with what's going on. So I said, look, let's be nice. I'm going to bring them some stuff. I packed up a lot of goodies, boxes and boxes. And I said, I'm going to deliver to the emergency room. And I was scared. I thought it's going to be so full. Maybe there's nowhere where I can park. Not at all. Completely empty. Entrance, free. I go in there. One person in the emergency waiting room. One person, doing nothing. The guards, totally bored, not wearing masks, not wearing gloves, nothing. I said, hello, I'm bringing this for the doctors and the nurses. I heard they're overwhelmed. Oh, thank you so much. Nothing is going on there. Did you know that a lot of hospitals have closed their doors because when this pandemic happened, nobody went to the hospital and hospital could not function anymore. There was no, they're not going to pay doctors for sitting there doing nothing, or nurses. They just closed. There were a lot of floors in main hospital in the city that were empty. Did you know that? People have died. People have let people die. I asked a neighbor, how did your husband die? She said, well, in the days, nobody knew what to do about it. So we were told to stay home, and we stayed home, and he felt worse and worse and worse and worse. And then he couldn't breathe. So we called the ambulance, and then he died soon afterwards. Nobody knew about the medication, or nobody wanted you to know about it? What kind of story is this? The medical field is connected with internet. There's been studies that were done. Forget about this year and Professor Raoul and all his protocol about giving hydroxychloroquine. Forget about all the doctors between themselves that tried different things that worked and told their colleagues to do it. Forget about all this. How about the studies that were made for the other viruses, the other coronas? Because this corona is number 7. What about the studies that have been published in 2005 showing that hydroxychloroquine is a treatment against corona? This is available to all the doctors. Why was the medication not allowed? Why are doctors not allowed to prescribe it? Why are pharmacists refusing to fulfill doctors' prescription? Whose business? Dr. Bartlett said it. Dr. Richard Bartlett said it. He prescribed medication. I don't know if it was Dr. Bartlett or another doctor, but in any case, he prescribed a medication to a patient because he knows that's going to help with the virus. And he's treated a lot of people and it always works. So prescribe the medication and he gets a call from the pharmacy. Did you prescribe this medication? Yes. Usually for this minor little thing medication, nobody gets a call to confirm it. For very, very specific cases of medication, sometimes the pharmacist will make sure that the doctors prescribed it, but not that. So number 1, they call to see if the doctor prescribed it. And then they tell the doctor, why did you prescribe it? Because you see, hydroxychloroquine has been prescribed to thousands and millions of people for different things. So the pharmacists tell the doctors, why did you prescribe it? And you know what the doctor's answer was? It's none of your business. Just give him the prescription. This is absolutely unbelievable, but this is what's been happening. And that's why I'm making these videos. Because if you don't know about it, it's because you've been lied to. And remember, there's different ways of lying. And one of the ways of lying is my omission. If you don't tell something out of your whole story, you're lying. I've asked something to a person living in England, and I said, listen, that such kind people and such good people, I said, what have you seen? And she couldn't even say it out loud because it sounds so horrible. But basically what she was trying to tell me is that people died of hunger. People went to the hospital and they went to the hospital in a very bad state because they were told the only way you're going to be accepted in the hospital is if you cannot breathe, which means you're half dead already. So they go there to the hospital and nobody is allowed to be with them. And they're not allowed to receive anybody and nobody is allowed to be with them. And there's a lot of people nearly dying. Yes, there was a lot of people left for dead. Yes. Not given medication. And so some of these people, they couldn't even take care of themselves. If food was brought to them on the bed, they couldn't eat. And basically they died of hunger. They had no way to take care of themselves. They were too weak. Usually somebody goes to the hospital and make sure somebody is with them. It's very important to have an advocate. It's very important to check what's going on, because sometimes a patient is given the medication for the bed next door, whatever is going on in the hospital. It's human error, but it's very necessary to have someone with you when you go to the hospital. At least checking on you every once in a while. Nope. Nobody was allowed to go. And so these patients, a lot of them could not take care of themselves, could not feed themselves, didn't eat, died. Now, let's talk about people being put on respirator. There's been a lot of talks about these ventilators and respirator. Let me tell you this. The governor in California said, we have to slow the curve of the epidemic because we do not have enough machines in case we need to put people on machines to breathe. Do you know how many machines were sold? I know someone who told me they talked to someone who works in the company that makes the respirator and the ventilators. In commission alone, he's making $30,000 a month. They're selling so many machines. And then there were a lot of machines that had been fixed because they were not working properly. So they were fixing like 200 a day. They produce so many machines. Where are they? They were never used. California has so many machines, they exported machines to different states. But still we're told it's a danger we don't have enough machines in case we need them. Does this make sense? You're afraid of not having enough, but you're giving yours away because you have so many? Why do we need to put people on respirator? By the way, a lot of people were so weak, the respirator killed them because not everybody is able to cope with that machine. Why were people not given medication right away? Why were people lied about medication? As I said, lying by omission is a lie. I don't care about the reason why people are doing this. What I care about is telling you that this is something that's been happening, and it's happening to everyone for different reasons. Everybody's using it for their own agendas. I don't care about people's agenda, but I care about what's happening to people. I care about the fact that my neighbor said to me, if I go outside, I will be a dead person. That's a lie. That's not true. People undergoing cancer treatment, people pregnant, people with all kinds of disease were treated with the hydroxychloroquine protocol and recovered. I already told you that for everybody who died of COVID, hospital get a certain amount of money. People put on respirator, the hospital get $30,000 a head. That helps, especially if you consider that nobody else is coming for any kind of surgery or any kind of sickness because they're so dead scared. Did you know that this year, less people died than last year for the same period of time? If there is such an incredible sickness going around killing people like flies, wouldn't you think we have more people dying this year than last year? In France, doctors were told that they get a bonus, they get more money if they provide the patient's information. And they get even more money. And all of this is documented because public knowledge, all the doctors have to know that they're getting money if they snitch on people. You get money if you provide the information, personal information of that person who died of COVID or anything. And you also get extra money if you provide for the contacts of the people that are in contact with that person who died or who is sick. Where's the privacy? Doctors are selling themselves, unfortunately. But as I said, they're under a lot of pressure. I'm not. I think that I'm going to make another video. But again, there's ways to cure this virus. It's very simple. You have to know that 99% of the people that have the virus and tested positive, some of them don't even know they have it because nothing happens to them. They don't have symptoms. Nothing is going on. They just continue as usual. So could be a lot more people have it and you don't even know. So that would mean that the mortality rate is much lower than the numbers are giving us. When they're telling you there's a spike of cases, means more people have been tested. If you test 100 people, okay, you get a certain percent. If you get 6 times the amount of people being tested, you get a lot more. That's normal. Especially people going around and they don't even know they have it. So the numbers that you're given are wrong. The numbers of people who died from COVID are wrong. The people that have COVID are wrong. The percentage of the mortality rates probably wrong also. And people say, who should we believe? At this point, if it's a matter of believing, then you're going to believe whatever your brain tells you to believe. If you still have a rational mind because your fear has not hijacked the rational part of your brain, then educate yourself. I spent many hours and hours and hours taking virology classes. I spent hours and hours listening to professors, reading documents from years ago because the latest one are so crooked sometimes you can't rely on it. But from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, this thing is valid. My next video is going to be about masks. So we're going to have a lot of fun.